to order the Board of Trustees for the Ames Community College District. So how about if we all join together and do the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Let's see, we have, I have an old agenda, so I think we have public comment next, isn't it?
No addition to the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Wait
I'm
a minute.
sorry.
I'm sorry, no, not on the agenda.
Additions, deletions.
Approval of the agenda.
Okay, there we are, okay. Okay, is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Also move.
There we go, thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Carol. Is there, okay, thank you, Lyle, for second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That motion is carried. Next, we have public comment. Madam Communications Officer.
Hi. We have no official public comment today, but I do want to welcome two members of our public who've come to our board meeting. We have Don Cummins, if he can raise his hand or stand. He is our former campus dean for Fort Lupton. Thank you for joining us.
Founding dean, please.
The founding dean. And Jerry Reed, hopefully he'll join us again after I embarrass him. He is the Vice President of Human Resources at Golden Aluminum. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Okay, very good. Okay, we have a consent agenda, and members, I think you've all had a chance to review that in the board packet. Is there a motion to approve it as such?
So moved.
Thank you, Lyle. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Carol. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the consent agenda, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That motion is carried. Next, we have the board representative reports. Ames Faculty Association. Are you ready?
I am. Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me here today. It's nice to be here. I have a fairly extensive packet. I'm just going to give you the highlights, but there are some visual things that you might want to look at later and some examples of art and such that will probably speak for themselves. So I'll start with some publications. Allison Easley, assistant professor of English, recently published a personal essay called "My Cardiologist Opened My Heart to Adoption" in the December issue of Adoptive Families Magazine, an informational publication for the Adoption Parenting Network, and there's a link here, you can check out that article. Cerisa Reynolds published an article over the summer through Anthropology News, which became their third most read in focus article of 2017. You can also look that up. There's a few other publications in the packet just for information, but I've mentioned them before. We have some exemplary community involvement from our faculty members to report. Kenneth Trent Howell, instructor of political science at the Ames Early College Academy, has been named vice chair to the Citizens of Greeley Capital Projects Committee. Trent says, "As I find my political science students are often most interested in local government where they can actually see it working and moving around them, I've been able to bring some of the discussions I have in the committee back to the classroom to engage students in learning." Also, Lou Cartier, instructor of business and English, was elected chair of the Local Government and Business Affairs Committee of the Greeley Chamber of Commerce in January, and Lou has served on this committee before, previously as the vice chair. For presentations, Cerisa Reynolds, associate professor of anthropology and FTLC chair, was an invited guest lecturer for a UNC cultural anthropology class last fall. She was asked to speak about the evolution of human skin, the creation of the concept of whiteness, and modern racism. Under professional development, 3 anthropology faculty, Cerisa Reynolds, Eden Welker, and Meredith Wismer, attended the 16th Biennial Southwest Symposium in Denver in January. Not surprisingly, we had a wonderful Conversation Day event this year. I want to thank the faculty who sit on the Conversation Day Planning Committee, Carrie Nobles, Teresa Reynolds, and Brian Seaman, as well as the committee's faculty co-chairs, Eric Hashberger and Stephanie Newton. Of course, we realize this is a great effort on the part of staff also. On Conversation Day, 5 faculty facilitated sessions: Allison Easley, Teresa Reynolds, Shel Costello, Megan Friesen, and Stacy Johnson. I've heard there were more who did not ask to be recognized, so I just want to attribute that to them also. During the Ignite closing session, Art, and I apologize, I'm not sure of this name, Art Terrazas Math presented on his department's equity project. We have a bunch of art that you can look at, and I just want to let you know that there's a write-up, a more extensive write-up here on the AFA award winners. That's Denise Pearson and Marge Lambeth, and you can now look at some of the comments their students made and read their bio and see their cheerful pictures at your leisure on the board report website. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you. Very good. Let's see. Next up, we have Staff Association. Natalie?
Yes, thank you for having me here as well. I just wanted to just mention we have a list of staff members who were nominated for Ripples in Recognition Distinguished Colleague Award for December 2017, and those nominated are Rhonda Johnson, Director, Network and Telecom IT, Patty Schultz, Media Specialist, Shannon McCaslin, Dean of Students, John Fultz, Director of Campus Safety Security, Veronica Rover, Tutor, Julie Smith, Director of TRIO, Laura Whiteman, Katie Hansen, Elise Wagner, Astwin Tavazon, PERC team members, PERC, Michelle Wareheim, IT Support Supervisor, Information Technology. So we had all of those staff that were nominated and did an awesome job in what they do, as always. There is one nomination I would like to just highlight very briefly. Holly Kopp, she's an Emerging Scholar Advisor Impact Program. She was nominated December 18th, 2017, and this is what they had to say about her. During a brief chance encounter at the Ames holiday party on 12/11, Holly learned that the Loveland campus was having some challenges with meeting student needs with class registration for spring semester. Holly saw a need and sought permission from her supervisor to visit the Loveland campus to assist with serving students. Her only focus was that she saw a need, and she eagerly volunteered her services for no other reason than to help out a colleague and to provide services to students. Holly regularly seeks out ways in which to help out her peers and students. Most folks would not know about Holly's selfless attitude because she is much too humble to mention anything. This is just one example of many where Holly's commitment and passion to students' success is her top priority, and that is all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Cody?
Hello. Good afternoon, Dr. B and the Board of Trustees, and thank you for having us here today. We have the Artie's Pantry will officially open on March 19th, so thank you everyone for supporting it. But once again, we'll be accepting a wide range of items, including non-perishable foods, pastas, sauces, canned goods, hygiene products, and school supplies. It's open to all students with an Ames number, Ames ID, and students will be able to receive up to 5 items twice per week. I would also like to announce the winner of the Artie Food Drive. So, dramatic pause. The winners are the Human Resource Department. Everyone did a wonderful job, and we have so much to put into the pantry. It's amazing. So I'm really proud of all the commitment and the support that we've had on this process. So thank you. Next is ASAC has partnered with Artie's Food Services, and we are officially extending the Artie's Coffee Cart in the College Center. After reviewing the Learning Commons use by students, we decided to do the new hours. So starting March 19th, immediately after spring break, ending on April 26th, the new hours will be Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. will be the new extended hours, and we'll be offering a happy hour from 6 to 7 for half-price coffees. So, some events that we have coming up and currently happening are the Safe Zone trainings. The Safe Zone training is an LGBTQ+ Safe Zone training allowed heterosexual or cisgender allies or individuals who are LGBTQ friendly to show their support for the LGBTQ plus community. Creating safe zones and safe spaces is a proactive step AIMS is taking to create more welcoming and inclusive spaces to empower individuals to reach their full potential. The event was held on March 2nd in Ed Beatty, and we had 30 individuals attend. I would like to also add that 20 of those were faculty. So I think there was a lot of support from faculty. So thank you for attending and supporting this. Another event we had yesterday was the Road to Reality, Anti-Impaired Driving Workshop and Simulation. This program was to educate students about the dangers of impaired driving. The presentation was conducted by Officer Mark Mellon from Ames Campus Security. Well, I think he's not campus security, but yeah. After the presentation, students will have an opportunity to participate in the simulated DUI golf course. So after the presentation, I think there was about 20 students who attended. We had the golf cart set up outside so you could put on the DUI impairment goggles and drive around the golf carts. So it's a really fun activity.
And nice coverage in the Trib this morning on that.
That's what I was gonna
A nice
say.
photo.
Yeah.
So, thank you. We also have the human-to-human Legos and bathroom bills. Daniel Bach, the Director of Nutrition Services for the Greeley-Evans School District, will share her personal experiences living as a gender-neutral adult in Greeley, with the hope that this story will offer others, especially children, the ability to overcome a fear of not belonging in anywhere in this world. This event will be an opportunity to learn how to support diversity in a broader and more inclusive way in our community. This event will be March 21st in Ed Beatty, room 102, from 2 o'clock to 3:30 if you'd like to go. And additionally, on March 26th, we'll be hosting an ASAC blood drive at Allied Health from 9:30 to 3 p.m. Bond fees will be providing the supplies. So if anyone would like to donate some blood, donate some blood. And thank you so much for your time. And I would like to add that SGA is opening positions for our new team for next year, and we're also hiring for peer coaches. So if anyone knows any extraordinary students that they think would be great, send them our way so we can get them signed up. So thank you.
All right, thank you. You didn't talk about the cupcakes and compliments.
I try to keep my report short.
I thought that was the most interesting.
I did mention it at a previous meeting, but it got moved, so I just felt like I didn't need to reshare it.
Oh, okay.
I had a question about that. Are you going to do it on other campuses or just the Greeley campus?
As of right now, it's just the Greeley campus.
Okay.
Well, thank all three of you. That's super. And I have commented at different times about how active the student body is in doing many things, not only for fellow students, but the community as well. And you hear all the awards of the staff, and I think someday we ought to just do a whole board meeting and just have nothing but hearing about all the great things that the staff does and the faculty and the students. We could really take up a whole board meeting.
That would be nice.
Easily, very easily. So anyway, thank you guys, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Just for those students, and again, I mentioned this before at other meetings, that need some additional resources. At Catholic Charities, the Guadalupe Center, Carolyn Rainbow can help with some, emergency funding, a utility bill, or what have you. All they have to do is kind of just show up and sign up.
What was that name again?
Carolyn Rainbow. I don't have her number. I have her cell phone number, but she's at the Guadalupe up on North 11th Avenue. So just, those are great things. I mean, you can't believe how much, just those little nudges help a student just kind of stay with it and on task.
Keep going.
I have a little thing I'm going to share with Dr. B, and she might pass it along to, that talks about children in poverty and homelessness, what occurs, and kind of but thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, very good.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments or? Okay, Dr. B, you're on.
President's report. Okay,
President's
we would
report.
like to invite Dr. Kish, Vice President for Academic Affairs, up to give us an academic affairs update.
Thank you, Dr. B. Good afternoon, trustees. I have a few updates for you. The first is we had expected some response from HLC this past month. Unfortunately, if you've read the Daily, we did not receive that response, and we didn't get on the agenda for February, so we are expecting that we will be on the next agenda, which is at the end of March, and we'll have an update in April for you, hopefully. The second thing that we've been doing this last month is engaging in an institutional research data cleanup project, and it really was an initial assessment. We hired Campus Works to come to the college and spend 4 days interviewing a variety of folks across the college about what data challenges that we might have, how solid is our data, the quality of the data, and how are our processes. So some of the things that they found through that process was that we lacked some policies and procedures around data, that we have not leveraged our technologies and tools well, and that we need to establish a data governance structure. So as a result, we have hired them to come in and help us with those pieces. And so they'll be here for the next 6 months assisting us with that work, and so that we can get our data to a place where we can trust it, feel confident about it, and that we're all using it in the same way. So.
What, you said what was the company or something that you?
Campus Works.
What is Campus Works?
Dr. Bornstein might be able to help with this, but it's essentially a company that comes in and helps. They assisted us with our IT work. Brad actually had come to us from Campus Works initially, and they help with management solutions, operational solutions. I don't know if you want to.
A private company? Yeah.
It is. They focus on the higher ed sector, primarily community colleges. They're national. They might even be global. They into Canada, international. And really focus on, as Dr. Kish said, IT, and they have branched out into institutional research and assessment solutions and support as well.
So is that all forms of data, just kind of demographic data, internal data?
It's all of our data, yes. That's entered through our banner system. That's where we primarily pull our data from, and so, yeah.
So it helps collate that and kind of organize it?
It's really about putting some rules around how we enter data and then how we pull data. So whenever anyone pulls the data, we're pulling the same report. So it's really a governance structure, and that's just going to take us a little time to do.
So let me chime in just to add to your point. So this isn't a software package or a hardware package. We were having some challenges. Okay. We needed an assessment from an external experts to come in and help us figure out what was going on.
So there were some problems.
Yeah.
There were.
And what we learned, which is good, because we learned some things,
sure,
is that we need some policies and procedures. We need some practices. We need some governance. We need some communication. I think you may remember, was it a year ago or so, we were talking about having 27 ways to spell Greeley in our systems.
Yeah.
So whenever we need to pull data that had Greeley in it, we're actually downloading 27 reports and trying to collate. So when you ask a simple question about how many is this or what percentage is that, that's when you get my look like deer in the headlights and everybody else's look saying, we can get that to you, but it's going to take us a while, when sometimes it shouldn't take us a while. Mm-hmm. So I think we're just trying to be real with where we are and move forward so that we can get more efficient and more effective with our data analytics.
A good reality check.
A very good reality check.
It was, and it actually was very helpful because it confirmed some of the things that we thought and gave us a path for solution. And I think that's really going to be beneficial to the college. So
Sounds good.
we have 8 students in the automotive area moving on to our state competition, so we're very proud. That's through the Skills USA competition, and as you'll recall, we usually have a pretty good showing at the national competition as well, so we're hopeful again this year, so stay tuned. I also wanted to let you know our Arts and Sciences division is working on a partnership with CSU for an honors program or an honors pathway, essentially, and so another item we'll be reporting back to you on within the next few months. And then Friday, we are pleased to host the Northern Colorado Manufacturing Sector Partnership, their advisory meeting. There are over 100 people registered. They'll be on campus Friday from that sector, and that'll be held in the Cornerstone building. It's most of the morning, I think 8 to 1. And so our community partnership and workforce development, as well as our business and technology division, have been hard at work collaborating with that organization. And so those are all of the updates I have for you today. Do you have any questions?
I would just make one comment. I was really disappointed that our nursing school turned out to be 5th or something on the list, according to the Tribune the other day. And Mountain College was ahead of us, which is even worse.
That is a disappointment, isn't it? We have taken notice. So hopefully we will not stay at that location.
Yeah, good.
So.
That sounds great. Okay.
Thank
Good,
you.
thank you.
Thanks, Deb.
So we have a person down today. Chuck is out ill, and we have, I think KAILEY is going to step up to give the administrative services report. So, KAILEY Block.
She's the expert anyway. We found out last meeting.
Check always turns to her.
Well, thank you, Chair Peterson and the rest of the board. I would like to present our monthly financial report today, and it includes activity through January of this year. So starting with revenues, the college has seen an increase in enrollment and subsequently an increase in tuition, which is great news. We're expecting closer to $9.7 million in tuition this year by the end of the year. So that's about 7.5% more than what we had budgeted. It's great news.
Good, right.
Similarly on the report, you're going to notice that in January is when we record our general property tax revenue. So we receive our certification in January. Chuck mentioned last month that we were going to be about $2 million more than what we were expecting, and that is exactly what happened. Also in this line, you're going to see, or is where we record our specific ownership tax. So those are taxes we receive on registrations of vehicles. And we are also expecting those to be higher than what we had budgeted. So by the end of the year, we're looking at closer to $53.5 million. So overall, a very sunny picture. We are already recording 99% of what we had budgeted for revenues. Are there any questions?
How much additional was that? 50?
Oh, for the property taxes?
$3.5 million total.
Yeah, probably total, yes, by the end of the year.
And it seems like the tuition or fees and other charges is down,
Yes,
but enrollment's up.
yes. So that is primarily due to the sunsetting of our helicopter program and the flight
Of
simulator.
course.
So when we present our budget proposal for next year, there's going to be a column for a revised budget there. We'll reflect where we think we're going to be, which is closer to 2.2, maybe 2.3 million for that line.
Okay.
So luckily, we came in with some extra property taxes to help balance it out,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yes. Okay. And moving on to expenses. So not a lot to report here. We are right on track for this time of year. We are projecting for all budget categories to be under by the end of the year. And just really not a lot to report. Good news. Easy for me. Okay.
Okay, very good.
Any other questions?
Are there any other highlights for the division, or I'll be good for now?
I was only prepared with the budget.
That's okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any questions or comments? Okay, thank you much.
And then Dr. Anderson is out this month, so we have Laura Cole, who is stepping in to give us the highlights of the Community and College Relations Department.
Hi, thank you. I'm going to first start with some of the highlights from recruiting, which is Jody's section, if Jody can raise her hand. This is really cool. We hosted 30 local high school counselors for a day-long progressive tour highlighting all 4 locations and transported them via charter bus. We had breakfast in Greeley, lunch in Fort Lupton, a snack in Loveland, and dessert in Windsor. There were presentations from Dr. BORNSTEIN, Bright Futures, advising Bueno Camp, a student panel, and tours of each location. The feedback was very positive. They also held a breakout session presentation at UNC Pathways to Success Conference for 10th and 11th grade students and parents, hosted a College 101 event at Fort Lupton High School in partnership with the school and the library with about 77 attendees, which was wonderful. And that was one of the first times, right, Jody?
For College 101?
At Fort Lupton?
No, actually, it was our second time in conjunction with the library, but it was a partnership with them, which was really great.
Okay, so she said second time, so that was a great attendee turnout. And 6th grade tours for District 6 have begun. In front of you, you will also see these lanyard cards. These were revised and passed out at Conversation Day, reflecting our values. So it was along with our poster. Also in your packet, you'll see that we launched our Be Remarkable campaign, our new ad campaign that'll run for a couple of years. And what we're doing is we're working with the program specifically, and we'll add on a tagline, make your mark in auto, make your mark in aviation. So you should see those ads running. We have a new television commercial as well, and that was all produced in-house. I'm very proud of the staff. We have a few news stories that you're going to see coming up. CDL is going to be featured in Energy Pipeline magazine, and the Skills Challenge USA is going to be covered by Berthoud about the student named Frank from Berthoud. Loveland Fire and Ice Festival was on February 9th through 11th, and it was cold this year. So we went through 55 pounds of hot chocolate mix. We also hosted the Friday night art walk. So this was I think it's a very great event because it brings folks into our campus to enjoy the building and everything we have to offer in there. Coming up, you'll see that you have a card for National Ag Day on March 20th. Please join us here in Fort Lupton from 4 to 6 p.m. for a reception. And on Friday, March 23rd, the Ag program is also hosting the Future Farmers of America. So we should be seeing about 100 students here in Fort Lupton from 8 to 4:30. And we are making sure I get all of the executive campus directors in this report as well. We're working with Windsor for Public Safety Day on April 21st. And there's also the fun run coming up on April 28th. And with that, I'd like to introduce Kelly Jackson. She's the executive director of our foundation. She has some really exciting news to share with you.
Good afternoon, board.
Hey there.
The foundation is ever busy. We're always out there looking for new opportunities to promote the foundation, rebuild relationships. So this spring, we launched the Employee Giving Campaign that will demonstrate to our community that we have internal support. Whenever we write grants, we like to demonstrate that we have 100% board giving, we have a high percentage of employee giving, and that then strengthens our case statements to our community and to our grantors. As such, we launched that on February 27th. We've gone around and we've hung door tags on everyone's doors, or if they don't have a door, they go in their mailbox. If they're in a cube, they can use a push pin and stick it on their cube exterior. So the cool thing about this is it includes the opportunity to provide your gift here. You can make your selections. And then once you've given, after you've made your mark, you can let everybody know you helped us reach 100%. So the goal is 100% participation. This, yes, is a fundraising campaign. It's more about the participation than it is the dollars raised. However, I would like to report that for our first week, we are just about at 10%, which is a new monthly commitment of just about $565, which translates to a total of about $15,000 when we marry that with the gifts we've already got committed. So this is a sizable campaign. We are looking for 100% participation. It will go through the end of March. So anyone that participates at any amount can receive our really cool participation t-shirt. Get ready, get set, give.
We like those.
And once you've given, it says 100% participation.
Okay.
Note, these are long sleeve t-shirts, so we've gone a little bit different. And we do encourage all board members to participate as well. You could be the proud owner of one of these if you'd like. Additionally, the alumni coordinator, Haley Hull, has been actively cultivating alumni. She has coordinated, we've gone around to listening tours on the college to build relationships and get everyone to know about the foundation, and that we have an alumni association. That has been very fruitful. Most people didn't realize we exist, so this is a great way for us to introduce ourselves. And we're building really good relationships. We've been invited back to participate at a number of events, and we'll be at all of the PSI graduations, because that's a great opportunity for us to shake hands and say, remember, you are an alum now, and eventually we hope to convert them to foundation supporters as well. Haley attended the new student orientation planning committee so that when that gets launched, she can actually be in front of the students the first time they are oriented to Ames way and Ames culture, which then plants that seed early for them to consider that they are going to be an alum, whether they take one class or get a certification or graduate. Haley has also been sending out regular newsletters. The February newsletter was based on love connections at Ames. So any students that met their spouses and married, she did some profiles on that. So it was really cool to see that. We did start with heart. And so yes, that was a heart month for her to be able to profile those. She's also done an e-blast for an update on contact information. She's received 92 live responses that have said, yep, I am alive, I'm here, this is my new information. So what we're doing is gathering effective information and ways for us to reach out to our students. A lot of our information that we have is outdated, and so this is a great way for her to connect and rebuild those relationships. Please mark your calendar for April 19th from 3:30 to 5. We will reinstate the donor scholar receptions. So this April 19th event is going to be a light afternoon with some refreshments. We will do a matching of the donors and the scholars together and an opportunity for each to meet each other. You are invited, and will be receiving your invitation probably this week. We encourage you to attend. It's a great way for you to see the student success that's a benefit from the scholarships that they do receive. We will keep the reception light, and we will keep the presentation short. Promise. Last thing that I did want to present and just plant the seed for is last month, Dr. Anderson presented some information. Actually, I think it was Dr. WYSCAVER that brought it up about bright futures in the community and the changes that have occurred. As a result of that and some of our donor conversations, we are revisiting the College Promise program to see where we can expand that program and build that into a program that will align with the college's strategic plan for objectives under the outreach to our underrepresented groups, creating access and increasing enrollment. With that, there will be some new criteria coming out that the board is going to be visiting tomorrow at the retreat, and then we will present that forward for consideration. I anticipate that this could become a very major campaign and a multi-year campaign, which would then put the face of Ames in our community very high profile, because we would follow with providing scholarship opportunity where there is unmet need for all opportunities. So it's a big, what we call in the fundraising world, it's a BHAG. It's a big hairy ass goal. And so yes, I do have big hairy ass goals. We also do want to let you know that there is an alumni that is competing in the Paralympics, March 11th and 15th in Korea, snowboarding. She studied nursing, and so we are proud to say we are following some of our active alumni, and it's really exciting for us to see that. We will report back on what her outcomes were.
Her name?
KAILEY.
Brittany Corey.
Oh, okay.
It's in
It's been in the daily.
Daily,
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's been in the daily.
yeah,
So
a couple
that
of
brings
times.
you up to date on a few of the activities that the foundation is working on.
Thank you, Kelly.
So
Any questions?
Is the March newsletter going to be windy, or what's the theme?
It's gonna be brief.
Brief, okay.
No, probably not windy. Thank you.
Do you have any questions for our team?
I would just comment that I think part of the student recruitment that you touched on, and the announcement, I guess it was in the Tribune, that the tours are now going to be given in Spanish, which I think is an excellent idea. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
I just want to add something with regard to the legislative agenda. The bill trackers that you last received, I know that was a couple weeks ago, there really hasn't been anything that has changed, but I will keep you up to date in Dr. Anderson's absence. The one thing that we are exploring is, you may have heard that CCCS has dropped a bill to allow them to have the BSN program, the Bachelor of Science in Nursing. We wanted in a little bit too late of that when the title was already listed and moved forward, so we will be dropping our own bill, although it'll be late. And our lobbyists are working on that at this point in time, so that we also have the ability to offer BSN if we choose to at any point in time. Colorado Mountain College already has that ability. They did that years ago when they expanded their curriculum to offer bachelor's degrees. So it looks like it has some positive movement for CCCS. So if CCCS bill gets passed, then the 13 community colleges, they will have the BSN ability. Colorado Mountain College would have the BSN ability. That would leave Ames. So we're dropping our own bill. Just so you know. And as that information, it's happening like as we speak. So as we get sponsors and bill numbers and that kind of thing, I will let you know.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Would Dr. Sarah WYSCAVER come up and give us an update on the Student Engagement, Inclusion, and Success Division?
As well. So I think last month, I think I welcomed you to spring semester because we didn't have a January meeting. And so it seems a little strange that today I'm going to welcome you to midterms week. You know, time flies when you're having fun, or at least that's what we try to convince our students. I have seen students all over campus in study groups, working together. They have textbooks open, highlighted note cards. I can hear them reciting things back to each other. So it's been really great to see the work that the students are doing, and I think they're going to be really grateful because next week is spring break, and they're really going to need it based on the amount of studying that I've seen in various spaces around the college. One of the things that I'm going to contextualize my report a little bit for you. Last fall, you'll remember we changed the name of our division to Student Engagement, Inclusion, and Success. And we did that intentionally with the idea of being able to really help focus our services and the work we do around those three constructs. So what I thought I would do is, over the next 3 months, just help you understand how we operationalize those constructs in diverse ways within the division as they are happening contemporarily. So when we think about student engagement, we're thinking about all different kinds of student engagement, everything from intellectual engagement, social engagement, cultural engagement, emotional engagement, behavioral engagement, right? We're trying to really engage the entire student in all different facets of what they do. So some highlights I would offer to you this month. In our academic advising world, we are moving forward to a pilot that will begin this spring, where we'll start taking our new students who are applying to Ames and assigning them to academic advisors based on their major. And so it could be that students end up having one advisor, but they could also have an academic advisor and a faculty advisor as we continue to partner with academic affairs. The cool thing about this for students is that there will be some intentional outreach for those students that requires them to meet with that academic advisor every single month until they graduate. So how we'll be sharing this with students is through an idea of I'm your person, or case management, meaning I am the person that you're going to talk to from now until when you graduate, and I'm going to be in your corner rooting you on the whole way. So we're really excited to get that pilot up and going as we move forward. The schedule will come out mid-March, and we'll start registration in April for students coming in.
Has that always been a combination of faculty and advisement?
Right. So we've done some different models, and so we think about it in terms of centralized or decentralized or a hybrid model. Centralized would mean all of the advising comes from one department on campus in the SACE division. Decentralized means it could be all faculty only, and so we're looking at kind of a hybrid model and working with faculty to understand what part can you help the student on and that you're the expert. And then on the student engagement side, what part can we help the student on and be the expert so that as we're both providing support, we're coming together and communicating and really giving that student the whole rounded experience.
And there's good buy-in with that?
I think so. We have incredible faculty and advisors on this campus. The faculty, particularly in our CTE programs, and I'm thinking of Amy McFarland because I know she's in the audience today. She's one of the faculty that students love working with in an advising capacity. They love the mentoring that she offers. I think the same is said for our student engagement advisors. Our students, we saw many of those folks who are advisors mentioned in Ripples. And so I think where we continue to work and where the sweet spot is that collaboration that Dr. Kish and I continue to work toward and getting our folks to really put student at the center and move forward in that way. Great question. And, Dr. Peterson. Okay. So another thing I'm really excited to share with you, milestones are incredibly important. For our students because it helps them recognize their achievement kind of as they move forward. So yesterday and today we've been working on a halfway there ceremony, and you may remember this program that we've done previously. We changed it up a little bit this year to try to get some better involvement from students and work around their schedules instead of asking them to work around our schedule. And so we sent out over 600 invitations to students to participate in Halfway There, and I have some stickers for you all that you can look at, but I just thought I'd show you. So what students get as part of their Halfway There celebration, they go to a room upstairs in the College Center and they are having a big party, they're having food, they get a box of candy and this really cute little graduation cap, and they also got a t-shirt that says, "I'm halfway there."
All right.
Right?
That's awesome.
With Artie, and then some flashlights to help light the rest of their way. I know, I love the metaphor, it's so great. So we're really excited. I'm happy to share with you what those numbers look like as we finish up that program. What we do know about students is once they get to about 24 plus credits, they are 4 times more likely to complete than they would otherwise. So this first big push in their academic experience is absolutely critical to getting them to that next place. Lastly, I would share with you, and this is kind of a diverse but maybe more holistic way of how we're trying to engage students in the division. Ames has had a really incredible hiring process as we're working to bring on some of our most precious assets to the institution, which I believe are our staff. And one of the ways we've been partnering with our human resources area is to help our students have a voice in that process. And so over the last few months, through searches that are appropriate and make sense for student involvement, we've been trying to create space for students to participate in that process. So in some instances, we've had spaces for students to meet with candidates and have lunch with them and get to know them in a group setting. And then in other ways, we've now been inviting students to our open forums. And I'm not sure if you all have attended open forums previously for various staff positions, but this is a great way for our students to engage in the greater dialogue and who's going to be impacting their world. But the other piece it does is it really helps them understand what kind of questions might I be asked when I'm the person standing up there? And so, so far the students have been super grateful for this opportunity, and I feel like are really learning a lot. That's what they've shared with me about being able to be involved in that way. So those are just some kind of different ways we're working to engage students across the division. Next month I'm going to talk to you about inclusion and how we're working to make sure that we're fostering that value throughout the division. So with that, I would offer any questions or comments.
I would just like to know, you said you sent out 600 invitations. Did you get a 100% response, or But,
I wish. I don't know, Dr. Peterson, I'm not sure what the response rate is because it's still happening today.
oh, I'm sorry. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
no, that's okay. So I'm hopeful next month I'll be able to provide a little bit more information about what that looked like. It is challenging for students because it's halfway there, but it's also midterm weeks. And so we're trying to recognize that they're balancing a lot, not only their academics, but their home life, their work life, all of these different pieces. So we keep trying to find different ways to help them identify that milestone and how important it is for them.
Yeah. It'd be good to know, too, what the reaction is. I mean, how accepted is this, and does it do any good, I guess, if you really wanted to
Both days
dig into it. But,
both days I've had the opportunity to swing in and congratulate students, and they are all very excited. They're having a great spread of food that they're eating and having some cake, and they're chatting with each other and talking about, just a little bit more. So the conversations that I overheard were really encouraging. Students seem really excited about it. So I think they understand how important their work has been up to this point.
And I was in Greeley yesterday, so I stopped in, and I would second what you said. I mean, the students who were there were having a wonderful time. They were playing games, a great variety of games, and interacting with faculty and staff. Haley was there, and they were having a good time with each other and with interacting with college people, with faculty and staff, and I thought that was really great.
Yeah, in fact, one of our faculty came in and said, I know one of my students is here and I have a letter of recommendation for her. And he popped in to not only give her the recommendation, but also congratulate her on her accomplishment. So it's a great space for them to engage.
On the dual advisement approach that you're doing, is it easy to schedule, or do you do some things by email? Or is it belly to belly with those sessions?
It really depends on what the student need is. As we move toward on the student engagement side, we'll be asking students to meet with their advisor once a semester. And so students will likely come in, but we also have other options for online students, for students that maybe can't come in, don't have transportation, that sort of thing. So that can include Zoom technology, which is basically like media conferencing on the computer. It can also be a phone call.
But contact.
The idea is contact and making sure that we're helping students really navigate their academic curriculum as they move forward, and also understand what their other resources in the community are, such as the Guadalupe Center and some of these other pieces that are important to their experience.
Developing that, the goal as far as the major, is that something that you're doing now from out of the box? Let's pick one, at least something that's in the general direction, or is that something that evolves still?
Well, I think it's a little of both. I think some students come in knowing exactly what they want to do, and they have a pretty clear goal. Other students know, I want to transfer to a four-year institution, but I'm not really sure what I want to do. And so as we continue moving forward with the strategic plan, student engagement as well as academic affairs is working on developing some more structured options for students so that as they move forward, there's space to change their major without losing a lot of credits. Because I think that's one of the things we know historically as students change their major. Many of their credits don't apply to their new major or to their, I think when I graduated with my associate degree, I had almost 80 credits because I couldn't make up my mind, right?
Well qualified.
Right. I loved it. So I think what we're trying to do is eliminate students taking credits out that are unneeded, but also providing the flexibility for them to continue as they learn and grow and develop and figure out who they are, where their passion is, and how they want to contribute to the greater society. Does that answer your question, Trustee Hout? Pretty close.
Okay. Anything else?
you.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Okay, I'm going to ask Dee to come up really quick and give us a health department update. Woohoo!
Thanks.
How was lunch?
unfortunately, we had a situation where we had 2 events that were catered for Ames employees and a handful of students who were exposed to and contracted salmonella poisoning. These events were held on February 9th and 13th. As soon as we became aware of the situation, we were in close contact with the Weld County Health Department, who then brought in the State Health Department to investigate the situation. As of Tuesday, Dr. Carrie Hanley from the Weld County Department of Health provided an update on the investigation. So there are currently 35 confirmed cases of salmonella poisoning related to the restaurant that provided this catering service, 17 of which are related to Ames. 4 cases are a direct result from the February 9th event, the human-to-human event, and 13 cases are a direct result from the February 13th event, Conversation Day. There are 64 probable cases. Probables are those who attended one or both events who had strong symptoms, ate at one or both events, and became ill over 3 days but were not tested. There are 31 suspected cases. Suspected are those who attended one or both events, became ill for a day, and was not tested. In total, 112 individuals reported becoming ill as a result of eating at one or both events. Dr. Hanley was very pleased with the responses to the survey that was sent out to individuals who attended the Ames events, totaling almost 300. Out of those responses, 155 reported they did not become ill or didn't eat at the events. Currently, both restaurant locations remain closed, and Dr. Hanley reports the Weld County Department of Health is still not 100% sure of where this originated from. We continue to encourage employees to seek medical attention if they feel sick, and we're hoping to get an additional update later this week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So I do want to say that our Human Resources Department and our public safety and security folks that are leaning against the wall in the back there have done an outstanding job staying on top of this, making sure our employees and our students are taking care of themselves and doing what they need to do for their health in this situation. So kudos to them. This can get out of hand very, very quickly, and they worked very expediently, very conscientiously, and very compassionately in this situation. So well done. You have in your packet meeting notes, President's meeting notes of February. Let's see, there's 1 or 2 I would like to highlight. I had mentioned to you that I was meeting with the faculty regarding some questions around the executive vice president position, and I did do that. I thought it was a great meeting. Many faculty that I met with on Conversation Day said it was a great meeting. So some of the questions that were posed at that time really were around clarity of job description. So what is the breadth of this position? What is the depth? What does it mean as we set up or look at the job description in relationship to the president's job description? How do they complement each other? Those kinds of things. Some of the concerns were, if you're going to be more visible in our communities, does that mean you're less visible to us on campus? And we joked about that for a minute, saying, oh, you like me, you really, really like me. And I think it was Marge, I don't know if she's still here, but she said, I did not get the Oscar for that, but we did have a conversation around that. And there were many other questions around academic affairs, operational kinds of suggestions and things. So it was a very good conversation. Most of the folks said that they felt like they got more clarity and they felt more comfortable. Some wonderful outcomes of that were that the faculty really wanted to make sure that more often, maybe once a semester, we meet and have just an open conversation outside of cabinet conversations, bring your own lunch, and outside of the times that I'm walking around campuses. So actually recently, Dr. Kish and I had chatted with the AFA officers board, and we might tag team together, since many of the questions they had were really academic affairs, operational kinds of questions that I wasn't prepared or could not respond to, so we'll do it together. So that was a great outcome, so I wanted to let you know about that. My meeting with Becky Safrick was really exciting in talking about how we can bring more community folks, greater Greeley community folks, to our beautiful campus in Greeley. When we went through our events at 50th anniversary, and we had the balloon launch, and then the sort of wonderful spontaneous eclipse. Not that the eclipse was spontaneous, but the event was spontaneous. It was really wonderful to have our community on our campus bringing their picnic baskets and sitting out and interacting with our students and our employees, and sharing eclipse glasses and being there early in the morning for balloon launches. And so we just are starting a conversation about how do we do that more broadly. And as I meet with the mayors of the towns that we have campuses in, I'm having those conversations with them too. Is how can we interact, bring the community more on campuses? So those are some wonderful conversations. I also do want to recognize the Conversation Day Planning Committee. I know Kendra did that, and we've heard that Conversation Day was amazing. We're still waiting to hear the evaluations, but I have to tell you, I have not heard one person, not one, that hasn't said how wonderful this Conversation Day was, that it was not only inspiring, but aspiring. And we had an outstanding keynote speaker, Mr. John Register, who I could have listened to him all day long. He was just really wonderful. And, I'm sure if you talk to folks in the room, they'll give you a similar report out. The theme for the day was graceful conversations, and it was our opportunity to set the tone for future, perhaps, conversations around how do we talk about some sensitive issues that we really do need to talk about. If we think about our environmental scan and the strategic plan that we're putting together, and all the conversations and data that we've been gathering about the growth in northern Colorado, we really have to talk about our Latinx population. We really have to talk about our aging and retiree population. We really have to talk about our vets. We really have to talk about our LGBTQ folks. So and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So how do we come to the table, hear each other gracefully, have the courage to say some things that we might need to say, and give each other grace when we might stumble and fall, because these conversations are going to be very difficult. We're not going to be perfect. But we need to create a space where we can at least ask some questions and not get jumped on for asking a question, right? So that was our start, and Mr. Register was outstanding in helping us move into that space, as was our breakout sessions. I had an opportunity to sit in on each one for about 15, 20 minutes, and they were outstanding, also focused on those areas, attempted the subject in a very different way with different activities, but creative, inclusive, thoughtful, meaningful, respectful. It was, geez, if we could do it again, I would just rewind and play and do it all over again. It was just fantastic. So I can't say enough about it. It was really wonderful, and I just wanted you to know that we're on a roll. Here we go. You also have in there upcoming business travel, my business travel in April. That's the AACC annual conference in Dallas, and President's coverage for March is Chuck, and for April is Jerry. I believe you also have in there the employee report. So I would ask, are there any supervisors in the audience that have new employees that they would like to introduce? Yes, I see.
Thank you.
Please.
I'd like to introduce Alma Latino Aguilar. She's going to be our Success Navigator in high school programs, working with concurrent enrollment students, more of a personalized view of it. And we're very, very pleased to have Alma come over from Trio.
Ah,
So
good.
we'll be staying in Ames, and we're very happy about that. I apologize to Trio. Alma's going to be an incredible asset to our concurrent enrollment students.
Wonderful. Welcome. Anyone else? Okay. Moving on, we have our Excellence at Ames. Are we going to be able to see over here? Yeah, okay, good. Here they come. Our Excellence at Ames is our welding technology. Paul Hasty is the department chair and professor of welding, and here comes Paul. And I'll hit the lights so that we can see.
Okay, thank you. And thank you to the board for the opportunity to speak with you today. Really appreciate that. So, when I was asked to present here, and the topic was Excellence at Ames, the way I guess I thought to approach that was to provide a brief overview of the welding department, talk a little bit about our history, so where we've been, sort of let you know a little bit about our team, who we are, who we serve and how we serve the community, and maybe some next steps, where we plan on going from here. So with that, I will start with a little bit of history. So the welding program, welding department at Ames Community College was one of the founding CTE programs here at the college. We're just a couple years younger than the college itself. Our first welding classes were fall of 1969. And in the picture there you can see on the wall, that was actually our first home. That was a rented space in downtown Greeley. I'm not certain, but I've been told that's the building that Moffett Glass is in. Yeah, so that was our very first home. And of course, shortly thereafter, the college is expanding and purchases what becomes the Greeley campus, and very quickly builds the Trades and Industry building in 1971. And so that was our first permanent home on the campus. Fairly small area, but our program was small at that time as well. And over the next decade or so, a little more, we steadily expanded and grew. And in 1983, that's when our current welding facility, although it's recently, as you know, been renovated and made a lot different, that building was built for us in 1983 because we were just growing so quickly. And at that time in Weld County, too, that was a big oil and gas and energy boom as well. And the need and demand for welders exceeded our capacity. So we moved into a new facility that was purpose-built for what we do. And the program, again, has always been a strong performer, consistent performer for the community and the college. But over probably the last 10 years or so, we've noticed a steady increase year by year, a consistent increase in demand for welders. So our numbers have been going up, and the need to expand and do more has been ever growing for us as well. So in 2014, we had the opportunity to expand down here to the Platt building. So that was the first time that welding classes were offered outside of the Greeley campus. And at that point too, we were pretty certain that we'd have really good demand down here, but that sort of exceeded our expectations, because very quickly, the space we have right now is fairly small compared to our facility in Greeley, and almost right away, that space was filled to capacity or demand. So the program's done really well since its inception here in 2014. And of course, as everybody's aware, our building in Greeley got a major renovation and addition. So really, we've sort of transformed from just welding into a trade center on the Greeley campus. And as faculty and as our team, we were really excited that we got to keep our facility. Sometime at the very beginning of the process, discussing what it would all become, there was maybe some thoughts or ideas that, do we build a new welding building? Is this all a new construction? And we were pretty adamant that we really didn't want to go that route. That welding building is a great building. It was purpose-built for us, and we really couldn't ask for much more. If we tore it down, we'd probably want the same thing put right back up. So it definitely needed some enhancements and some upgrades, and we did add some spaces and so forth. But we really wanted to keep our building. And a lot of that, too, most of the faculty members that teach in the welding department are also, we're alumni of Ames as well, and there's a lot of history there. There was sort of a generational handoff, between welding instructors that helped start this program way back when to us. And we wanted to continue that tradition and honor the history. So again, we're very, very honored that we got to keep the building and, of course, just enhance to what we have today. All right. As far as this year, another major development for us is just the addition of fabrication and capstone courses to our welding program. Metal fabrication is integral to welding, and we've always had that in our program, but it was through student personal projects, community projects, projects for the college, so lots of fabrication, but we felt it's really important to maybe move forward a little bit and standardize that education to make sure that every student receives the same instruction and a consistent instruction in that area. So fabrication course, the students are going to learn to use a lot of different fabrication equipment as well as apply fabrication techniques. And it's a project-based course. So as they're learning, as they go throughout the whole program, they're actually building a project. In this case, it is a fire pit, and that will be theirs to keep when they leave. They will take that project with them as sort of a symbol and something they can be proud of at their time at Ames College. The capstone course is similar. It's also a project-based course, but it's designed to be a little more realistic in job and employment expectation terms. So the students are going to be building a small version of a pressure vessel that's actually going to be hydrostatically or water tested up to 1,000 pounds per square inch. They're going to have to meet common welding codes and standards. They're going to have to qualify or certify to those standards prior to working on or even fabricating at all on the project. And so, you know, well, and also, let me see, as far as that goes, the project as well, sorry, I'm sort of lost my train of thought there for a minute. The project as well, the pressure vessel, is designed around energy and oil and gas production because a lot of our students leave the program and that's what they're building is pressure vessels. So that's why we decided to go ahead and move forward as a project with a pressure vessel because we think most of our students are going to have to do something like this or be immersed in this type of environment in the oil and gas industry. And part of the program too, or part of this particular class and project is critical thinking because we're not laying out every little step that the students need to take, right? We have blueprints and we have certain specifications that the students need to meet, but they have to make all the decisions on what welds go where, and they're going to have to do a lot of thinking. So every pressure vessel that's built is built to a standard specification, but there's a lot of leeway for the students to create their own pressure vessel. So we hope the critical thinking component, which should align with the college, learning outcomes, is an important addition to our program as well. So, all right, moving on, a little bit about who we are. All right, so teamwork is really important to us. We consider ourselves a team, and we're constantly striving to develop more team work with other departments on campus, more internal teamwork. But really, we try and operate as a team, make decisions as a team, and move forward as a team. So it's important, I think, to talk a little bit about who we are. We're part of business and technology. So Dean Jeff Smith is our dean. 4 full-time faculty members. I've been here 20 years at the college. Chaired the program for the last 18 years. Jeff Klein has been here for 18 years. And between 2003 and 2014, Jeff and I were the only full-time faculty in the department. So that's why you sort of see a difference in years there. We handled the department during those years, and with the expansion to Fort Lupton in 2014, we were able to hire Miles Shear, who became our faculty member down here. And just this past fall, we hired Cody Trigg, who's our newest full-time faculty member. He spent the year on the Greeley campus, really getting acclimated to what we do and how we do it. And he will be coming down here to Fort Lupton full-time starting this fall as we offer a night program here. So, part-time instructors, we have 2 right now. Brian Martella, he is a successful business owner. He has a business called Atomic Forge. Very successful, but he just likes to give back, and he's a great teacher. And one thing that stands out about Brian is that he is a metal artist as well. He has a degree in metal sculpture, and so he teaches our creative welding courses. So he has a lot to offer there. And Troy Ford is an alumnus of the welding program as well, full-time welder during the day, and he works with me at night. Right? Our advising team is very critical to us and to our student success, and as Dr. WYSCAVER talked about a few minutes ago, that collaboration is critical, and the welding department has actually had that type of collaboration for quite a while. We've been working, I'd say it's probably 7 or 8 years now that we've worked to craft that kind of relationship with the advising center, and work together as a team, both welding faculty and the advisors, to advise our students from the first interest in the welding program all the way through graduation. So administrative support, Holly and Linda, they're great, and as you know, administrative support, we couldn't make it without them. They keep us in line and keep the paperwork flowing and keep things happening for us, so I can't say enough about those folks. And I also included janitorial here for welding, at least in Greeley with our new building, because that's a job that really doesn't get a lot of recognition or thanks, not unless something's wrong anyway, right? When it's going well, nobody thinks twice about it. But for us, that's a real critical part of our team, because professionalism is very important to us. And when business leaders, community folks, potential students come into our facility, that's a first impression. And so the professional environment that we try and maintain is really supported by janitorial as well. And I'll tell you what, they do a great job, and we're so happy with them. A couple of omissions here. I did want to mention Julie Lukengay, the director of Fort Lupton campus. We're working more with her, and we're developing a good relationship with her and the Fort Lupton folks, especially as we start to do more down here at Fort Lupton. That teamwork is going to be more critical. And I would also like to mention Mike Millsaps and the facilities folks, because while welding requires a lot of specialized building equipment, not just equipment in itself, and so without the facilities guys, I don't know what we would do. We would be in trouble, that's for sure. Plus, working with Mike on the renovation, being included in the process, all of us, from the very initial stages, has been exceptionally helpful. And I think the project has turned out great because of that and because of Mike's expertise. But we had a lot of say in how things turned out and what we needed. So I'm very grateful for that. All right, so who do we serve, and how do we serve the community? So welding is unique because we have a lot of different ways and different things we can do. So for example, students come to us for many different reasons. Welding is a very diverse field. It's used in almost any industry. It's sort of a universal skill for industry, and it's used in many different ways. So we obviously have career-seeking students. That's the majority of our students are seeking to make welding as a career, either as a degree or a certificate. We also have a very strong concurrent enrollment career academy program both in Fort Lupton and Greeley, and that's been expanding. The demand from the districts is really increasing, so we're looking at ways to try and increase and meet that demand as well.
Do those go back into the schools?
What's that? I'm sorry?
Do those go back into the respective high schools?
Well, we actually teach the program right here at our facilities. Okay. Is that what you were asking, sir? Or did I answer your question?
That answers the question. I was asking if you reach back into the high schools and develop programs at those locations.
Yeah, we don't really have any programs directly at a high school. We do all of our teaching at our facilities.
Okay.
All right. So we have a lot of people that just need to build up their skills improvements. So folks that are already welding, and they need to take a new certification test or are looking to maybe get a promotion at work, so they come back to us for specific skills needs. Welding is such a universal tool that many people aren't welders, but they may need to use welding at their jobs. So we get a lot of people that just need specific welding training. We work closely with agriculture, lots of farmers and ranchers, lots of welding and maintenance and repair there. Plus, our program has worked with Colorado State University for at least about 10 years now. We developed a certificate program for CSU, their ag education department. So folks over there who are going to become agricultural educators, so teachers in high schools that teach ag, welding is part of their curriculum, but they don't necessarily teach it directly at CSU. And they can go to anywhere they want to get the credits, but we've developed a really strong partnership with Ames. We offer them a certificate. We've taught it at our Greeley campus now for many years, but we're actually teaching it in Fort Collins right on CSU campus at their request, because they've also built a new facility and a new structure, so we're expanding out there as well. And we also just get a lot of artists and personal enrichment hobby folks. So we have a wide, diverse range of people we serve. Businesses, a lot of customized training. We're pretty responsive and we can adapt to individual business needs really quickly. And we also help a lot with employment needs. We work directly with employers. We have a job board in our shop. They call us. We work with them directly to try and place students that meet their needs. Ames, we serve Ames too. There's a constant flow, it seems like, of miscellaneous odd projects that flow into Ames, things we need to fix, things that we need to repair. So we're able to serve the college itself by doing these things. So small projects, but major projects as well. So for example, Trace Arcos, That was fabricated in the welding department by staff and students. And we also worked in conjunction with the drafting department here at Ames to develop conceptual design and so forth for that. The pergolas that are out in front of our new building, those were fabricated by the welding students in our department. We built sculptures for the Loveland Fire and Ice Festival, a trailer for the automotive departments, and even others. So we are happy and proud to serve the college itself in that capacity as well, because not only does it help the college, but it's also a great help for our students as well. Sorry. All right, so finally, and I'll hurry it up here. I'm sorry if I'm taking a little bit too much time.
I was trying to be.
Just a quick note about our performance, FTE-wise. So we're really consistent, and with probably in the early 2000s, we would average around mid-40 FTE. That seems to be where we're at. Then we started noticing this gradual increase with the economy in northern Colorado, and now we were averaging there between 08 and 14, about 51. With the expansion to Fort Lupton, we jumped up to 65. So we're making some big strides in student numbers. Our goal is to hopefully get up to about the 70 FTE this year, hopefully, and even progress further past that. Our program typically has a wait list. We've had it at least 5 years. And at the peak, that was over 100 students waiting to get into the welding program. So that's a good problem to have. Our demographics, so the data that we send to the state, we consistently serve a higher population or higher percentage of female, minority, and disadvantaged students. Our completion rates are way higher than the state averages. We average about 88% completion. And as you can see, last year we awarded 222 certificates. Now, not all, there's duplication there. Many of our students get multiple certificates. Okay, and then 95% total positive placement. So a few things on our strengths. Welding is a universal skill, as I sort of alluded to earlier. So what that means is we're always getting people that need welding. That really just helps our program stay consistent and strong. Regardless of what we do, that is a strength of our program. We use an individualized instructional model. So that means we stack our classes. We offer a lot of different classes at the same time. It's really the instructor that moves between students and changes classes as we work with different students. The benefit of this is the individualization really focuses on individuals and helps that particular student with their particular needs, but it allows us a lot of scheduling flexibility and responsiveness, so we can set up training, we can work with different students, different schedules at will, and it makes us very responsive to business and industry needs.
Is that methodology kind of something that's been templated, or did you develop it?
I started in 1998 full-time, and I was here part-time before that. That's always the way the welding program has run. I mean, so that's just been our standard mode of operation the whole time that I've been here. And it seems to be very effective, very effective. So teamwork, we already talked a little bit about that. All of us are very committed to what we do, and I would say that that's Ames as a whole, right? It's a real pleasure to be able to help somebody improve their situation in life and help them out. So we're so committed to the students, just as everybody else is here at Ames. Experience. Our faculty bring a lot of experience to the table, not just a lot as far as quantity, but again, because welding is so diversified, we have a lot of different types of experience that our faculty bring to the table that really enhance what we do. And finally, longevity. We love working at Ames and we love what we do, so very rarely do we see much turnover in our department, and that really helps us stay a consistent team. All right, so next steps. Sorry, I forgot to bump that forward. Next steps, overview, occupation overview. Just really quickly, welders and cutters, the median wage right now is $20 an hour in this region, and we're expecting about 3% growth this year just in this region. And the outlook for the next 10 years, or 8 to 10 years, is at least 6% nationwide. And of course, that might even be higher. I'm not sure in this area, but northern Colorado I guess the projections for northern Colorado growth are very good in the coming 5 to 10 years. All right, so next steps. Our major issue that we're working on right now is Fort Lupton. This is our main focus. Now that we've got our Greeley facility renovated, we're working on the Fort Lupton facility. What we're trying to do here, first of all, we're opening up a full-time evening program in the fall. So students will be able to attend welding full-time in Fort Lupton, both day and night actually, starting fall. And we're hoping, and I've been working with Dean Jeff Smith on renovation and expansion of the building. So right now we're fairly limited in our capacities. We only have 15 booths, and that really limits what we can do. So we want to be able to expand our capacity. We have to fix a few problems. Safety concerns like noise and fume extraction, we had to fix a few concerns with our systems. And because of the expansion of our curriculum with fabrication, the current facility is not adequate to teach those classes. We just don't have space, and we don't have the equipment, the area to put the equipment. So, go ahead, yes, sir.
Now, what's the average cost per booth that you invest in a?
Average cost per booth, that's a good question. I'm not really sure because.
It's a Millsap question.
Mike's here somewhere. Because you look at a lot of, there's a lot of utility and plumbing work. There's electrical,
Sure,
there's
sure.
gases, so I don't know how that breaks down per booth. Mike could certainly provide more on that. We have 15 right now. We hope to expand anywhere from 7 to 10 booths. So probably a maximum of 20, total, so 25, up to 25 total. And we also want to use some space for fabrication. So what we're wanting to do is actually utilize the oil and gas lab, or what was the oil and gas lab. Just expand into that space and make it one, and that will really enhance our ability now and in the future to serve this community in this whole area. Right? And the only other thing we're working on right now is working with workforce development more. We want to explore opportunities to increase customized training opportunities with various companies. And we're also looking at opening up a welding test facility again so we can certify welders in the community. We did that a long time ago, but we think it's a good time maybe to get back into that with all the advancements in oil and gas around here and the need for qualified welders. So we'd actually certify or test them to make sure they're qualified to perform certain welding operations. So we're just investigating opening up a test facility right now. Other than that, I would just say thank you and any questions. I apologize if I talked a little too long.
No,
So.
you didn't. That's great.
All right, and are there any questions?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Comment. Fort Lupton waited a long time to get the welding program underway here.
Yeah.
After the lab was built, it took longer than the community would have liked to get the program up and running here, as you're aware.
Yes.
There is a backlog, there is a need here, and so I would hope that the expansion would take place sooner rather than later, so that once we're not again in the position of waiting for the college to respond to a need that's here.
Okay. We hope the same thing. We've been working on this over approximately the past year, maybe a little more, and I don't know how, the information, once it gets above me and Jeff, how that all disseminates or filters out, but hopefully we're pretty far along in that, progressing towards getting approval. And so I don't know if it goes to the board or not, or how that works, but if so, I hope you see it really
That's
soon.
why, if we can understand some of the costs that are around it, those are things that kind of say go or no go.
We did, or I did present a plan to Mike Millsaps on sort of some suggested renovations that we would like to see. And I think Mike was going to work with architects and so forth just to get a preliminary cost. So he may have more information regarding those
He's
costs.
coming up here. We'll
Okay. All right. Thank you. And thank you for your continued
you.
support.
Thank
you.
you. Excellent report. Very good.
And Mr. Chair, that concludes the president's report.
Okay, very good. Let me get my eyeballs on. Excuse me. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is go into executive session. Or am I right now? Correct. Make sure I got the right agenda is what I was worried about. And we can do this by, you can all read it, Colorado Revised Statute 246402, Paren 4, Paren A, and we're going to be discussing real estate issues. Now, we will come back, and there is possibly an action item. There may not be. I mean, that will be determined in the executive session as to whether we go forward with it. But you're certainly free to hang around, or if you want to leave, that's fine too. We won't take roll or anything, And then we do have a few purely board kinds of things that we will deal with after we come back. So for now, I will, what do I do? Do I adjourn it?
You need a motion.
Okay.
I move that we go into executive session as provided in Colorado Revised Statutes to discuss real estate.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion to go into executive session and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That motion is carried, so now we are in executive session. Call the Board of the Ames Community College trustees back together again, or to order again, I guess is technically the way it's supposed to be. And we move then into, I think the first item on the rest of the agenda would be information items. So do we have any correspondence that?
We do not this month.
We do not. Okay. Board calendar. I think we have a, don't we have one in here someplace?
Yes.
Yes. Under information items.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Okay, looks like, well, we've talked about National Ag Day. The next board meeting will be April 4th, and I think that'll be on the Greeley campus. May 4th, graduation, 7th, graduation, or so on. I can't believe that that's coming up already, my goodness. President's reception on the 9th, honors, well, all of that is various graduation kind of activities. Anything else that we should add to it? Mary, are you ready to say something?
Public Safety Day.
Oh, okay. Public Safety Day is April 19th?
It's April 21st.
21st. And it is at the celebration is the Windsor campus?
Yes.
Anything else?
Dr. Peterson,
Yes.
a correction for the last line, the Police Academy graduation ceremony.
Yes.
That is will be held in the CPAC Bay at the Windsor campus.
Ah, okay, all right.
Cornerstone.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Does Fred have his car show?
Yes.
When is that?
That is in July.
Oh, that's in July?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. We can wait until then.
And we just brought you through the celebration week in this
Yeah,
one.
yeah. I couldn't remember.
Okay, anything else? Yes, where are we? I can't see who it is. Ah, there it is.
Kelly Jackson's Foundation, the May 2nd Joint Trustees and Foundation Board meeting.
Oh, yes, right. In fact, aren't we going to have a discussion at the next board meeting about maybe some suggestions for the foundation board, right?
We did that at last board meeting.
I'm sorry,
We did that at our last board meeting.
we did?
At our last board meeting.
Okay, we did that the last board meeting. Okay, I don't remember that.
It's not on here.
Do that date again, I'm sorry.
May 2nd.
May 2nd, okay. Okay? Okay, moving right along. Then, Carol, how about a ACCT legislative update?
Let me be just real quick here, if you want, I'll send those two down. As it turns out, I was the only Colorado person at the ACCT Legislative Summit this year. So in addition to the scheduled meetings that Carrie had wonderfully set up for me with our delegates, and that's for both Senate offices, Representative Buck and Representative Polis, because of a small part of, there is some overlap between his district and our taxing district. And I met with staffers in all four of those offices. Senator Gardner came in during my meeting with his staffer. He's very good about about trying to do that and always meet personally with us. But in addition to that, I dropped off our materials at all of the other Colorado delegation offices. So Representatives Coffin, DeGette, Tipton, Lamborn, and Perlmutter all got our information. And what I've given you, and I'm sorry I didn't have any green paper, is the infamous, what we call the green sheet at these meetings. And this is the basic sheet of ACCT's legislative priorities. And this is a joint conference between the Association of Community College Trustees, which is our group, and the American Association of Community Colleges, which is the president's group. So this is always a joint conference, and they do a joint legislative agenda. So a lot of our time is spent learning about the issues that are on the agenda so that we can speak with some confidence and intelligence with our delegations, as well as hearing from other speakers on issues related to this. We had, and in addition to that, I'm the Colorado State Coordinator for ACCT, so I generally have to go in a day early for those sessions. But we had 4 speakers this year. Carol Doherty from the Pew Charitable Trust, who is their Director of Political Research. Labor Secretary Alexandra Acosta, we usually get a cabinet member as a speaker. Jake Tapper from CNN, and Amy Walter, who is with the Cook Political Report, which is now an online political nonpartisan political report. She's a regular panelist on Meet the Press and Fox Special Report. So yes, indeed, they are non-political, and reports Mondays on the PBS NewsHour. And I can talk next month in the interest of time about some of their comments, which were interesting to say the least. But the green sheet shows you some of the really important issues that we talked about, and that we all shared, all of us who were there shared with our delegations, because everyone who attends this conference ends up on the Hill. I mean, there are dedicated times that we spend on the Hill talking to people. The Prosper Act is the House version of the reauthorization of the Higher Education Act. It has been reported out of committee in the House with very little in the way of hearings, which is not always the best move. It has some things in it that we like, most of which is not favorable for us, especially on risk sharing. And I want to thank Nancy Gray for putting together a great worksheet for me to share with our delegation, to say, okay, here's what risk sharing would cost this college in terms of having to repay aid that's given to students who don't complete. There also are issues around loan defaults and trying to hold colleges, not just community colleges, but all colleges, responsible for students who default on their loans, when we don't have the authority to tell them they can't borrow $12,000 a year when they don't need it. So some of those issues, and we've talked about that issue last year with our delegation as well. Issues about we're always concerned about the appropriations, and all sorts of other things that are on this sheet. So that's basically what went on. It was a busy time, and I walked many miles.
Yes. You really do that, don't you?
Yes.
You walk
yes.
many miles.
Fortunately, my Senate meetings were one day, and my House meetings were the next day, and that helped a great deal.
Okay, any comments or questions for Carol?
Thank you, Carol.
Yep, good
Just
job.
like, thank you
We'll,
for representing us, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I have what they call the background, or if anybody wants more in-depth information on things, we get a more in-depth, that's for our briefings.
Well, maybe you can give us more next meeting.
Sure.
You know, and maybe have some further
Well,
information on some
there
of
may
these
be progress
things.
on some things. The
Right.
Prosper Act, in the House, they've said, well, it may go to the floor sometime this spring. Well, Okay, that could be any time. The Senate has a bipartisan version that hasn't really gone anywhere yet, that has some differences, so who knows if it'll get any place this year.
Who knows whether anything will get done. Okay, let's move on then to technology for the board. Carrie, you're on.
Where we were talking about use of diligent.
Yeah, or
This will be easier, thank you. We've been talking about the use of diligent and making it easier for board members to use diligent to help you with technology. And first of all, I want to thank Brad Yoder and his team who have worked with us on a little project and made this possible for your demonstration today.
oh, okay.
So I'm going to get a little bit closer. I was going to project it up on the screen, but I felt that it would be easier for each of you to see. We are proposing that we get each of you a tablet to use. We would have this available, set up your spaces. When you come to a board meeting, we'll have Diligent uploaded and on, so all you have to do is log in, and then you're able to use a device here at meetings so that you don't have to bring your own. For your convenience, as well as if we have issues, you all have the same device, and it'll help with troubleshooting if you're having problems with your own device. So here we have Diligent. I'm just going to
Wow.
wow. It's a touch screen.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
And if you're using Diligent, then it's much like you're used to on your own device. So pass that around.
Okay. Am I the only one that's not using Diligent right now?
You and Jean.
Oh, Jean, that's right.
Yeah, and
Okay.
we're getting you both up on
Right.
it.
And Larry wasn't, because he had lost access to his computer.
Oh, okay, all right.
That would be cool.
This is no big deal. This is where I
Is this because I have to plug in every month
It's no big deal.
and had problems with my password last month? Thank you for addressing my needs, I appreciate that. And your needs, so that our staff doesn't have to always run extension cords for me.
I would just reiterate that this would be, or then we would have it set up for a work session before the next.
What kind of screensavers will we have?
Well, since you shut it down, it's now changed to a lovely mountain scene.
Okay.
So yes, this is for your convenience. They would stay with the college, so you don't have to personally take them back home and bring them here. They would be set up at work sessions and at regular sessions for your use. And then you could just leave them here. We'll pick them up after the meetings, bring them to the next meeting.
We'll still be able to use it here on our home, so we get it early and can review it.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
And anything that we save, any notes that we edit would be.
Will show up here.
Right, when you log into Diligent on this device here at the meeting, all your notes.
Okay, so we would still do our own logins on those?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
just a different device
Okay.
that we keep, we'll set up for you so that you don't have to bring your own.
Okay. Cool.
Any objection to that? I mean, it seems to me like it's a pretty good idea, and then you don't have to plug in, Carol.
That's
you know,
right.
You can just turn the thing on and be ready to go. And I like the idea that if we would have a technical problem of some kind, heaven forbid, everything is on the same system and program and et cetera, so.
Right, and IT is familiar with the Diligent program, and then they will have somebody at meetings if you guys have trouble logging in, if there's a problem with the device, we'll have that support, because you'll all be working on the same device, the same version, and that will streamline it for everyone, I hope.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, Very good. Next item is to talk a bit about the June retreat and possible topics. You know, my favorite one always is to talk about the accreditation report and see if there's anything there. Now, hopefully we'll have it by then, but keep our fingers crossed. No, not that there's any concern about it, because I think we're going to pass, I'm sure we're going to pass with flying colors, but just to talk about what's there, and there may be some recommendations actually that we want to take a look at and talk about.
And updates on new program development.
Okay. Yeah.
I would like to understand what the surrounding school district, at least in our taxing district, and then also out, I mean, we work with many of them, some of the obstacles they face regarding their student involvement in career CTE courses. What can we do to extend ourselves within those schools, as far as what's reasonable? And you know, is there ways that we can reach further? And I know we're doing a lot of work with K through 12, even though, and my other caveat is I'd like to have Stowe explain some of the statute regulations around community colleges and versus Ames. And after that last month's conversation, I'm a bit confused on some of our roles, because we don't really have a community college that's serving our in-taxing districts. But I'd like to know what we can do to further help our surrounding school districts. We have resources. I think it's a good measure of faith to give back to the community. You know, we certainly built our campuses up well. I think they're doing well. I think we're very proud of what we've done. I think we have great faculty and staff that, what can we do? What's some of the obstacles? Maybe talk to the teachers, but the boards of education, so, you know, what are their obstacles? You know, is there some need that, boy, it'd be nice if we had this? Or, you know, that's why I was asking, well, how much does a welding station cost? You know, how much do these things really actually invest in, and can they be incorporated into our programs so we meet our standards, but also train our future students to come to us to finish off? And what can we do to do that, help with that? So I want to talk about that at our retreat. That's a broad subject, but I think, you know, I've discussed it off and on with all of the board members, and we're all kind of saying, whenever I talk to people in the public, I ask them, do you feel, and I don't really include two-year education, you know, college educations with this, but do they feel that higher education's been somewhat oversold to the population over the last 35 years? And we get a lot of nods from teachers. Yeah, we need more directions for our high school students. And I think Ames is one of those vehicles that can provide that guidance. And because I know the school districts in the surrounding areas are strapped for cash, they're strapped for resources. You know, we can't fix everybody's problem, but can we do some things? I know there's a need for small business people that would have a bookkeeper, an IT specialist, and maybe some sort of management expert that all rolls into one. And that pays very well for small companies that can't afford to hire a separate bookkeeper, a separate IT guy, and things like that. So, you know, those are career opportunities that parents need to understand what the potentials are. What's the income? It's $19 an hour, it's $40,000 a year, it's $60,000 a year. We are placing our automotive people in great financial positions. Our police, fire science, all those things. So the long and short of it is, what can we do to further advance this college into the high schools? We have many of those programs, but welding is an easy thing to train in the classroom. Carpentry is a little bit more of a challenge. There's certain things you can do in the classroom, and I'm kind of rambling now, so if you got all that, Dr. B.
Well, what you boiled it down to was what can we do to further partner with high schools,
Yeah.
primarily CTE.
Primary CTE and other programs. I mean, whatever, there's a lot of great minds here, and I don't, there's no single answer. It's just, what does everybody really want to do? And I know everybody is working with K through 12 education, indirectly or directly. And what can we do to, meet some of those goals? Understand at least each district's issues. I don't know, I haven't been to a Kersey Board of Education meeting. I haven't been to a District 6 Board of Education as a trustee. I'm supposed to represent those districts. So I'm kind of laying down on the job, But, what do we do? And if there is a suggestion, I know if I give it this lady over here, she runs it through a gauntlet of tests. So we can talk about that.
Okay. Lyle, you have anything to offer?
No, I think Mark is on track here. I know our ultimate goal, certainly the goal of all these folks out here, is the education of our children. And if we can collaborate in some way with our high schools to figure out ways to get them better educated at any level, I think it benefits us. And if we can help them, give them ideas, do whatever, I certainly don't have any solutions that would help get them better prepared for college or to advance further or faster or whatever. I think it's worth the conversation.
Okay. I will have further opportunities to offer ideas, but this gives you an idea as to maybe where we're headed and begin to do some initial planning for that retreat.
We'll also have, typically that first day, morning time would be this year it's board self-assessment, so we'd be kind of looking at those results. I don't think we've decided if it's 1 or 2 days, so we need to kind of decide if it's 1 or 2 days. No, we did decide it's 2 days. It's 2 days, so we decided dates. I'm like, yes, it's already on the calendar. It's in June 19th and 20th, I believe. So it's the board self-assessment and board evaluation. That's informally president's evaluation, and then sort of goal setting. The other things, and I'm going to add to the list because I'm not sure where we're going to be. It might happen sooner, it might happen later. Is we'll want to go over the strategic plan tactics. There's no action that the board needs to take for that, but you'll probably want to know some of the amazing projects that this institution has come up with that they want to spend time on for the next 5 years. I'm thinking you'll probably hear much of what you were just suggesting is addressed in the tactical and activity level of that. We may also have a good draft or a rough draft of a facilities master plan. I'm not sure if it's going to hit then or if it's going to be later, so that's why I'm going to just put it on the list. So there's probably a lot of big things to kind of take a look
Sounds
at.
like we could have a pretty full agenda pretty
Yeah, I
quick.
think so.
Might have to narrow it.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
we may have to.
That's Ray's job.
And I'm sure that you would welcome an email if somebody has
Oh, of
some
course.
a brilliant idea in the middle of the night, so.
Well, not in the middle of the night.
Oh, not in the middle of the night, okay. Okay, anything else on that? Next item then would be the only action item that we have on the agenda. And we have before us a proposed.
Mike is here to present it with separate Chuck.
Resolution, and to the employee responsible is not Chuck Jensen now, but Mike Millsap, so.
Pinch hitter.
Chuck is here in spirit or something
Yes,
like
he is.
that, right? So, okay, take it from there, Mike.
Great. Thank you, Board of Trustees. Dr. Bornstein, good evening to you all. There's an action item in your packet. Bear with me, I'll read through a little bit of the background. The summary, currently the college has land for future expansion at the Greeley and Fort Lupton campuses. This purchase of land adjacent to the Windsor campus would allow for future expansion and development at the Windsor campus site. And a quick read of the resolution. Whereas Ames College District Board of Trustees approves the negotiation and purchase of Lot 3, Lot 5 of second filing, Southgate subdivision, and the Stugart lot in the town of Windsor, County of Weld, state of Colorado. Whereas Ames College District Board of Trustees authorizes Dr. Leah L. Bornstein or her delegee to perform the execution and delivery of all instruments necessary for the accomplishment of the transaction to purchase the above said lots. And whereas this finding provides the Ames College District a basis to move forward with the negotiation and purchase of the Lot 3, Lot 5 of the second filing Southgate subdivision and the Stugart lot in the town of Windsor, County of Weld, state of Colorado. So with that, the administrative recommendation is for a motion to approve the resolution to negotiate and purchase the land identified again as Lot 3, Lot 5, second filing, Southgate subdivision, and the Stugart lot in the town of Windsor, County of Weld, state of Colorado, better known as the Windsor campus.
Okay, you have heard the explanation of the resolution. Is there a motion?
I would so move to approve resolution, do you want me to read all that? Or can I just say 10A?
Oh, okay. Okay, that's good. So is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Carol. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Okay, opposed no, and I think the record should show that we have 4 ayes and 3 ayes and 1 abstain. Anyway, that motion is passed.
Yep.
Thank you.
You bet. You got it, Mike. Okay, comments from board members. Carrie, did you have something to say? No? She looked like she was gonna want to say something. Comments from board members. Anybody want to start?
I'll just say, I think it was another very productive meeting, a lot of information. I certainly appreciate everything that everybody brings to the table. Look forward to the upcoming events, and thank you all for being here.
You know, I would, Dr. B gave a little bit of report and some comments on the conversation day. And I was there. I could only stay for a half day. But I tell you what, that was one of the most invigorating and interesting. It was just a wonderful kind of a program. I just was very glad I was there. Again, Dr. B talked about the keynote speaker, and man, what an exciting guy. I mean, this is a guy that lost his left leg, I guess, wasn't it, to a track kind of accident, which I thought was really interesting. And he's a former military person. And what?
He's a veteran.
A veteran, yeah. And what he went on to do after he lost his leg and became a handicapped person, but he was like second, I think, in the Paralympics, right, in long jump.
Silver medalist.
Yeah, silver medalist, and he showed pictures of that, and man, that was breathtaking almost to see him do what he did. And then, of course, all the other experiences that he talked about, and he didn't just talk. He had us standing up and doing different kinds of things and looking over your neighbor, and just really interesting and fun. And then I went to another one on racial relations was what it was, and another good program. I very much enjoyed that too. And the one thing that came out of there was they said, one of the questions was, what can we do more to promote racial relations? And the comment was, we gotta get some minority folks in administration.
Yes, diversity. Yes, we do.
So anyway, I thought that was a interesting comment. So, but it was a heck of a good program. I'm sure glad I was there. Carol?
Yeah, a couple of things. Many of us have signed up to go to the ACCT Leadership Congress in New York in the fall, and there is a call for presentations if we would like to do something. I don't know, let me pass that to Dr. B, because she might have ideas. There is that opportunity. We've done that. We've presented in the past, and it's always nice, and it's a nice way for the college to get some recognition. Earlier, we heard about, 8 students going ahead on the Skills USA program. I attended that. I went to that this year, just out of curiosity, and it was really fun to watch, so I would encourage people to do that the next time it comes around. Last month, we got a report on enrollment, and as I've thought about it, I'd like more information next time, a little more in depth of sometimes program changes, plus or minus, can affect enrollment. For example, the loss of the nurse aid program on this campus certainly affects our enrollment. And concurrent enrollment isn't included in those numbers. So any campus that's hosting high school students, they're counted in a different pot, and it's not part of the sort of the number that we're given for enrollment, like the 19 students we have, high school students we have here who are enrolled in the welding program, wasn't included in that count. And I don't know how we would do this, but there are students who, in order to finish a degree, have to leave this campus because you can't do a whole degree here. So if they go to online, that's not counted as a Fort Lupton student anymore. Or if they take a class at Greeley, they're really still a Fort Lupton student, but they're counted at Greeley. So if there were some way to give maybe a little more accurate count of what reality is on the different campuses, that I would appreciate that. It may not be possible, but and one of the things that I learned at ACCT was that if a community college offers 2 or more bachelor degrees, their statistics are no longer counted in the community college counts.
In iPads?
It may be in iPads, I don't know, but that they're in terms of research and that kind of thing, that if you offer 2 or more, and I don't know if that's 2 or more majors or if it's 2 or more different degrees. I don't know, but I'll look up where I found that and let you know, but I thought that was.
But it's only those students that are not counted.
No,
It's
the
not
whole college. The whole
college.
college is pulled out of the community college pool for reporting. So as we look at the potential of offering bachelor's degrees, that's something to keep in mind.
I'd love to, yeah.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, I was like,
Sure
whoa.
as heck.
That's it.
That's it?
Sorry.
I already talked a lot. I want to thank everybody, and Sarah, what we're doing with the students as far as the food baskets and that resource needs to be on all our campuses. Poverty is a huge thing, and being hungry is even worse on top of it. So it's good to hear that, and here's like we're more than halfway there on that, because if you're not halfway, then you're no way there. And I'm glad to see we're moving ahead with the dual advisement. I mean, I was at my first ACT there was one college in southern Ohio above Dayton that was really centering itself around their students as far as from the day they got there, it was like, what are you gonna do? Let's get you enrolled. And it seems like we're doing that, and they're supposedly, I don't know if half of what they said was true, I remember quoting you some numbers, it was ridiculous retention ratios. But I think we're doing pretty good at that as the crow flies over it. But we're really more than halfway there. I think we're doing a great job, and I'm really impressed and proud of everything that occurs at this college. And every time I ask a question, well, we're kind of working towards that, so that's good. Thank you, Dr. B, for your patience with me. I know sometimes I ask for more than I know what I'm asking for, so.
One other thing, congratulations to our nursing student, Abby Wilson, who received a Nightingale Award for Innovation, Advocacy, and Leadership. That was in the Trib this morning.
Oh, really? I
Yes.
didn't see that. Ah, okay. Okay, we also need to thank the staff of Fort Lupton for the gracious welcome and everything that you've done for us. It's really great. Okay, members, board assessment, how'd we do?
Great.
Great? No complaints? Everybody's happy?
I think we hit all the bases today, last month too.
Yeah. I think we do a pretty good job, if I say so myself, but anyway. Okay, anything else to come before the board? Then is there a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, Carol.
Second.
Is there a second? Thanks, Mark. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Oh, that motion passes. We are adjourned.